Okay, let's take a quick look at the chords that I use in this first backing track. There's two sections and they're all in the key of F sharp minor. The first chord that happens is an F sharp minor 7, and you can play this up here on the neck like this. And then it moves to a D major 7. On the backing track you might be able to hear some clean guitars doing something quite similar, and I'll be using different extension tones. Here's another version of an F sharp minor, but we're going to add the 9th as an extension. We can do the same to our D major 7 and add the 9 as an extension, and we get something that sounds like this. So for the A section, it just goes between those two chords. And just before we reach the B section, it quickly goes up to an E7 chord, which you can play here on the 7th fret A string. Then the B section starts with a D major 7, it keeps on going. Then it goes up to E7, then F sharp minor 7. And I stick on the backing track chords, there's a C sharp minor 7, which is the same shape as our F sharp minor 7, just starting at the 4th fret A string. It nicely brings that D major 7 around again. So if you wanted to try this backing track and jam with a friend and have someone play chords along, then these are the chords that you can play to make it sound good. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the chords that I've used in this backing track. Now this backing track is pretty much based on a low B string on the 7th string kind of groove. It's just going around that same thing, and all the notes that you hear otherwise are from the B Phrygian dominant scale. But there are some clean chords in the background just to really imply that Phrygian dominant sound. Now the chord that fits best with B Phrygian dominant is this. So it's a B7, so we have the root, 5th, the octave. I've also got a 11 or a 4 and a 7. I've also got here on the G a flat 9 or a flat 2, which is those first and second notes from our Phrygian dominant scale. That's a B7 flat 9. You can complement that B root note in the backing track with some other major and minor triads. You can do a C major triad, you can do an A minor triad, and a B major triad for the B7. So you can get really creative with those chords and get some really cool kind of Eastern sounds. One thing I would stress that is a really good idea to explore is trying to make chords up from those scale patterns that we've discussed before the jams, because they can lead to some interesting voicings that you can use over a single root note. So for example, if you wanted to make this kind of jam with some friends, you could get someone playing a B root note or a B power chord, maybe a C, and an A power chord afterwards. Maybe make a riff around that and have someone else playing those triads over the top to get a really kind of cool, kind of Phrygian dominant sounding jam. So try that out and explore the B Phrygian dominant scale. Okay, so let's look at some of the chords for jam track 3. Now there's two sections. The first section goes between D minor 11 and D9. Let me just play those chords slowly for you so you can see exactly what I'm doing there. That's a really nice shape actually for moving about. And then it nicely goes into the G G9 in there. And those chords are both from the D Dorian scale. Okay, then the B section, this is where it changes to a D minor tonality. We actually go down to a B flat major 7, which is here. And then we slightly break the rules a bit. I'm going to be using this A7 sharp 5. Normally we'd have to move, if we were visualizing from the key of D minor, we'd probably go to a D harmonic minor over that chord. But as it's passing, we can kind of, if we're mainly in pentatonic, and we can get around it sometimes as well. And then we're going to go to a D minor 9, which looks like this. And then a C11. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is whilst writing this chord progression, I deliberately tried to keep that F note in the top there. So if we look at each chord, that note appears in each one. And that kind of thing really glues the chord progression together. So if you wanted to come up with your own kind of sequences and chords that sound like that, it's a really neat idea to see if you can get a repeating melody or maybe a repeating note in the top of that chord to give, it kind of glues them all together in a nice way. So if you have some friends you can jam with, try these chords and try making up some of your own sequences using that concept of keeping the top note in, and have fun.